over the weekend, I caught myself people pleasing like we all do in the holidays. And I really wanted my husband to see me making an effort. And it snuck up on me as far as expectations. And so I expected to receive gratitude. And when I didn't, I was very hurt. And my inner child came out and said that her feelings were hurt and that she didn't feel enough. And I had to work through that. So my anger came up. I would say it was not soft. It wasn't soft anger. I'd say it was more medium anger, more of the irritated, antagonized. I think that's how I felt. I went to the store and which I don't often go to the store because my husband, that's kind of his thing. And I came home with an extra item. And so instead of him being like, so happy you went to the store and that you're going to be making, this really beautiful meal, it was about the item. So anyway, I still feel justified in defending myself, but it was just like really painful having my expectations be smashed. So in the shower, as I'm crying, I'm remembering, okay, so this is me as a little girl feeling not enough and I can't please others. Doesn't matter what I do, I'll never be enough for these people. And it also reminded me of my grief around not feeling like I'm allowed to be a little girl, that I can feel that like childlike Christmas spirit. So today I was watching Elf crying. I just want to be Elf in New York City with Santa. So I'm honoring my grief around my inner child and also upholding my own values around my self-esteem. So my emotions have supported me in that way. So yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at right now. And I woke up with a crick in my neck and I was going to look it up in the book. I know for a fact the two that my body are asking for are copaiba and cardamom. So I can show you kind of what that process is like, but I am open for feedback if in my experience, if you have something to share about that, or if you'd also like to share.
I always appreciate when you share, Kim, because it's always very similar. Because a constant theme for me is, especially as it relates to my husband, for the 22 years I've been married, his reactions have been the same. But every time I'm like, I can't believe he did this. I can't believe he reacted this way. So when I'm listening to you, I'm like, that's you guys, you said I fell into people pleasing, when you were talking. And I think about so like today, let's say the same thing came to you where you're like, I want to get something special for dinner to make. I'm just curious, is your process like, I'm going to get something special for dinner to make, and my husband may say, I can't believe you got that or whatever. Now that you had the experience this weekend, do you think your processing is like, you're aware, so it would be different, whereas though this weekend you were kind of caught off guard with that?
Well, yeah, but also I'm looking at what are my values versus his values. He values like, what would it be called? Like, he values the budget and like base chakra, safety. If you spend an extra $3, that's not okay. And so he's looking at it like I'm like going down the road of destruction. And I'm looking at it as you don't appreciate me because I value compassion and kindness, and he values like what would be the word? Practicality.
Practicality. Mhm.
Being frugal.
Yeah, those are like his. So on his list of values, this is higher, and mine is here. So like it's like having a conversation of like, where can we meet in the middle here? Because if I have found that in our marriage, when I go to do something, he will criticize how I've done it afterwards. And so, what does that do to anybody? It deters you from wanting to do those chores ever again because you're like, well,
Mhm.
you do it. You want to do it your way? Then you do it. And so that happened often enough that actually I lost like all the chores.
Mm.
So it made me feel very powerless and unhelpful. So as I've been like, fine, I'm gonna start doing stuff and I don't care. It's just to answer your question, Shannon, you have to be able to say, I see that you value this and this is what I value, and where's the compromise here?
Mhm.
So
That's very helpful. Yeah, because I guess I was just curious if you saw the experience this weekend as kind of a one-off where, man, I fell into this, or is it more common? Like, because for me, I'm starting to understand it's been this way for 22 years. So, like, yeah, so this is a new revelation for me. So I'm not sure if for you, it's more like because so I guess you're elevating because you're like, it's not where I am like, well, that's a growth opportunity because I was kind of just like, he's that way, I'm this way. This is how I can stay protected. But the higher thing would be, oh, this is his value and this is my value and they don't meet. So that's kind of a higher level of looking at it.
well, not that there's any like higher lower, but I mean it's one day at a time. And
Yeah.
it's just like if I had been going to a dance class, I'm gonna know the steps.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you show up and you don't know the steps. It's just that I read a couple more books.
I
And
understand.
like so I like that in this space. I'm not necessarily like, oh, I'm the teacher, I'm this like 35-year-old over here wearing a Lululemon sweater. Like I was laughing about it because a friend of mine and I was telling her how I wanted to start playing a drum. And I was like, I am so that white girl that's like, I'm going to learn Native American shamanism. Like, I don't know. So I'm just saying, I like that we can be here and there's a lot you can teach me, Shannon. And this is at least something that I can share. And I know that it's going to grow our collective self-esteem,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I just grabbed frankincense. This is the father of oils. And I know that people-pleasing thing is all about daddy issues. So I'm going to grab my book really quick and read that to you. So this is the new one, the 11th edition. If you have the app, it's updated to the newest edition. Frankincense is about truth. Frankincense reveals deceptions and false truths. It invites individuals to let go of lower vibrations, lies, deceptions, and negativity. This oil helps create new perspectives based on light and truth. Frankincense recalls to memory spiritual understanding, gifts, wisdom, and knowledge that the soul brought into the world. It is a powerful cleanser of spiritual darkness. Frankincense assists in pulling the scales of darkness from our eyes, the barriers from the mind, and the walls from the heart. Through connecting the soul with inner light, this oil reveals the truth. Frankincense supports in creating a healthy attachment with one's father. It assists in spiritual waiting and helps individuals feel the love of the divine. When they have felt abandoned or forgotten, frankincense reminds them that they are loved and protected. While this oil is incredibly powerful, it's also gentle, like a loving father who nurtures, guides, and protects. Frankincense shields the body and soul from negative influences and assists the soul in its spiritual evolution. Enhancing practices of prayer and meditation, This oil opens spiritual channels that allows an individual to connect with their God. Through the light and power of frankincense, the individual can draw closer to divinity, healthy masculinity, and the grandeur of the true self. That feels true and right for me in this moment. And then I grabbed Copaiba, and that's also another one of those like open your brain to God oils. So I thought I was going to go for cardamom, but it wasn't in my field. And then I grabbed these two. So if they feel right to me.
Okay, ladies, this is Kimmy. I must say, I told you I'm at work, but this is the first time in a very long time that I feel safe in a space. I will be back, but I got to go back because my client's here. But I thank you for just allowing me to be a part of this group because I needed it too.
Thank you for being here, Kimmy.
Thank you, and I will definitely see you Wednesday.
Okay, we'll see ya.
Okay, bye.
So, any thoughts or something different topic to share? Oh, I have to show you what Donna sent me. Hold on, Shannon, you have to see. Look at it. It's like a shell. And it's painted with turtles. I love turtles.
It's a real scallop shell.
It's a scallop?
Mhm.
I didn't know what it was.
From our area, yeah.
If I had two, I could make a little mermaid boob thing. I love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love turtles.
I have one too, Kim.
You do?
Yes.
Aw. Sweet.
Thank you, Donna. So sweet and thoughtful.
You're
Very
welcome. I'd like to share, if I don't cry. Last week, I realized that Shannon lived 10 minutes away from my girlfriend. And so I asked Shannon to make a delivery for me. This is a girl that was in my Bible study 20 years ago when we were in Jacksonville together. And she's getting ready to take a bus trip from where she lives back to Jacksonville to be with the people that we were in the Bible study together. So because Shannon was so gracious, she went to see my friend and made my delivery for me.
Aw. You guys are the best. Does it make you feel weepy because you can't believe she would do it for you?
Now it just makes me weepy because my friend's husband had given away their last $20 to a needy family. And Shannon was delivering some money to them. So and they just believe that God's so good that, you know, when you're needing something, he shows up in strange ways.
So loving. That now it's coming to me as you send it to me, the story. It makes me feel like so protected and loved with that knowing, you know, that God works through all of us. Thank you guys for being like a reminder and shining light. You know, beacons of hope for humanity. You guys are both beacons to me. When I get caught in my spiral and then I go, oh yeah, look, listen, God's talking through these women. That's amazing.
Are you gonna make my day and will I get to meet you on Thursday?
Yeah. You're gonna be here? You'll be here?
Yes, I remember through Facebook. I mean, we could talk offline. You had messaged the time you were available on Thursday, so I
Yes.
made
Oh my
yes,
gosh, that's amazing. Time moves so fast.
yes. So we'll talk offline, but I just wanted to throw that out there that I'm confirming.
I feel so much joy right now.
Mhm.
So sweet. I love us. Aw. I feel like it's Christmas morning right now. Got so many gifts. It's very special. I something that I wanted to talk about was the gifts of grief. And I had been listening to a little podcast over the weekend, and how a lot of us we were raised not to allow grief. And I know that in my faith, it wasn't seen that you could truly grieve. They'd say, well, they're in heaven now. And, that was like supposed to be comforting. I mean, and slightly in a way, like, well, they're in heaven now. Like maybe they're not in their body here and they're somewhere else. But it doesn't really say that it's okay to be upset about it. There's like ways that people will say, well, don't cry, or don't cry because you'll make me cry. Or can you think of other ways that people have felt uncomfortable with grief? Phrases, perhaps. So what I really liked about what she said about grief, this is Carla McClellan, the gal that I really like. She said it's the highest form of love. That feeling that deep inner, it's actually the most like full of emotions, because it's like everything, she says she wouldn't necessarily call it sadness, because you can choose to be sad or not. Grief chooses you. There is no choice in grieving. There's choice in sadness. So her saying that, in this full emotion, what in our life are we grieving, and can we honor that? For me, what I had been feeling a little bit, because I had listened, sorry, my dogs, they must hear a fire engine. Let me go tell them. I'm the pack leader, so I had to go be the pack leader. I guess I'm not a very good pack leader. Do you have any thoughts on what I was talking about? What I think I was crying about yesterday with my own grief was about my inner child, and how she would feel in the situation that I was feeling, about not feeling enough. And I was grieving that. I'm going to mute while you guys answer, so the dogs.
Well, right now we're grieving the loss of our next door neighbor, who died at 60 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of hard, and grieving the lack of family for Christmas, still just mom, dad, and I.
And you were asking, like, what might we feel we're grieving at the present time?
Yeah. Or, like realizing like, oh, I have been in that process. I mean, it doesn't necessarily, I know that that's primarily what we grieve is death. But it could be the death of an idea, the death of, for me, it was feeling like I hadn't been honoring my inner child. Like I don't, it's hard for me to play with my kids for longer than 10-15 minutes. I get anxious and I go, okay, well, that's enough. Why is that? What, I'm not comfortable with play with kids. And I know that my dad was like that. And I think it's because I wasn't wanting to connect with my inner child. Like, how can I just like forget about the world and just be a little kid with my kids, you know? So that's something I'm working on personally. You know, I don't want to be Captain Hook.
Well, I must say, like, yesterday was my big 50th birthday celebration. And what Donna shared is so impactful to me because some people would say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're making time to do a delivery and it's your big day, right? But what I appreciate about the celebration yesterday, it was exactly how I wanted it. I've never done anything exactly how I wanted unapologetically. So, I mean, I had Hebrew Israelites, I had Christian, I had Kemetic people, um, uh, you know, I had a formal kind of like gown. I told people to come as you are. Instead of having it at a hall, I kind of rented a kind of a home as if I was having a dinner party. I mean, and some of the people that were vendors, I said, no, I don't want any balloons. I don't like balloons. You know, I put out my head, you can't have what you want the way you want it for one time. And it was the most, honestly, I liked it better than my wedding in terms of fellowship. Like, it wasn't a blur. I was supposed to do a pampering party at the end. Somebody was supposed to come and do it. But for long story short, a couple weeks ago, they were like, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So I kind of created I was gonna do a thing, but I had so much fun. When it came that time, we were about an hour late. I said, you know what? The person that was supposed to do the pampering party isn't here. They couldn't come. I do have something prepared. So if anyone wants me to do it, I can do it. But I said, I'm actually good if I don't do it. I did have 3 people that looked very disappointed, and that was it, So when you talk about like grieving, it's almost like I have grieved these things. And to me, that birthday, the way that I did it was a reminder to me of letting all that go, like all that I have been grieving for 23 years, how God can, in a day, say, are you ready to give it all up? Are you ready to give it all to me? Are you ready to surrender it all? And I just felt, and then my husband had people do a video, and my freshman year roommate from college, like I would reach out to her. She's such a sweet person, but then I would feel like, well, I'm always reaching out to people, so I haven't really reached out to her. I used to call her every year for her birthday, but she's such a beautiful sister. Man, she sent a video telling me how, like, I was the most, like some of the things you were saying, like I'm the most pure, kind person she's ever met in her life. And when I became her roommate, I was like, oh my gosh, it was just all Shannon, everyone pouring into Shannon for one day. And although the Most High God does that for me, and that's enough, like he's become enough for me. But it did feel really nice to be celebrated, so that's the only reason why right now I'm focusing more on the grief I'm letting go than maybe the grief that may still be there. So that's what I wanted to share. It was an amazing day.
Aw, I'm glad you got it exactly how you wanted it.
Yes.
People get to appreciate how you would have exactly wanted it. And now they'll see in the future, this is not what she would have wanted. Not what they want, or their picture.
Exactly. Yes.
I love it.
Mhm.
Can you share some of your coping skills that you used yesterday?
As far as like when I wanted to do what everyone else wanted me to do.
Yeah, was there some things that you've learned over the past, couple years that you've been like, oh, I brought in, like you said, oh, you realized, which I heard like a huge win,
Mm,
you're not grieving because you got to let it go. There was a
mhm,
moment of serenity. You got to
mhm,
experience God's serenity. Sounds
mhm.
amazing.
Yes, yes, for sure. You know, the funny thing is like something I was thinking about because I knew the calls would start coming in of regrets, like people feeling bad because they couldn't come like the day of the party. I answered one of them, then I let the rest go to voicemail. So like my husband was so kind, like I said, he's good, he likes logistics. So I gave him 2 weeks ago, I gave him all the RSVP, like, so he was excited, planning, putting things on calendars, color code and everything. So I could just say, oh, my husband, and so that was something as far as coping with people wanting to like interact with me, it's kind of like feeling obligated to respond to people, like because they're texting me or calling me, even though I keep telling them to call him. But it's just, I mean, I'm trying to get out of trying to understand and figure people out, but to just not respond and just tell my husband to call someone, like that's huge for me because I feel it's so disrespectful to not respond to people. So those are some of the things, like what's politically correct or what's right versus I don't want to do that. Like it drains me, so I think the bottom line is getting rid of this thing that is selfish to do what I want to do, to do like, what do I want to do? So I was talking to my son today because he, 22 years old and he's done things, but he's like, my life is over. I'm so behind. But I told him today, what do you want to do? What's the number one thing you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? Like, do it. So that's the coping skill. It's fun getting in touch with when all the noises, voices, what does Shannon want to do today? What does Shannon want to do? What do I want to do this hour? What would bring me fulfillment? And I did get some blood work from my doctor, and she's a medical doctor and a natural doctor. She basically have been saying your body, your test results show it's like you be in fight and fight 10 times a day. And a lot of times it's my thoughts more so than anything else. So that's another coping thing of like my health, really understanding that this stuff is impacting my health, the emotional stuff. So I don't have a choice, to keep people pleasing. And so, like you said, one step at a time. I'm still on the first step, like looking at the questions and reading through. So, but yeah, coping really is like really trying to get clear on what do you want, like right now, this minute, this hour, this day, and kind of leaving it there. And then when I figure that out, doing it unapologetically. That's the coping skill.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for asking. Because when you ask questions, I things come out that I didn't know were there.
Mhm. I like the that just made me think of something. When you ask a question in your mind, your brain will automatically try to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I'll hear in my head, why can't I do it?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say, well, why can't I can say exactly why I can't do it, whatever it is. But I love on some of these, this is that Carla McClellan's, her emotions thing. She got
Mhm.
there's the questions for each feeling.
Mm.
So even for, let's see. Let me find a good one. Well, for like fear, what action should be taken? I feel like a lot of my people pleasing thing is wrapped up in fear
Mm.
because I don't want to let people down. That's one of my main fears actually inside of my people pleasing thing is
Mm.
I don't want to let people down. And so, what action should be taken? Focus your attention on your fears and orient yourself. Prepare yourself, act and move consciously, and revitalize yourself with the dynamic, intuitive focus fear brings you. So fear is about bringing you back to attention. Fear is about bringing you back to the present moment. So if I catch myself feeling afraid, oh, what if I forgot something? It's okay. What action should be taken? It's the gift of fear is to get me back in the present and to wake up, don't be all in la la land. And also, I really love what you were saying about, it was your birthday party. So if you were to say, what is expected of me today? You're not expected to return phone calls. Don't
Mhm.
need to answer voicemails or text anyone back, just like you would on your wedding day.
Right.
So sorry, I can't make it. Well, I'm not going to get back to you on my wedding day.
Right.
So I'm really
Right.
glad you let go of that expectation or fear. Oh, I didn't get back to that person within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So good job, Shannon.
Thank you, Kim. Mhm.
It's great us doing so dang good.
Right.
You want to add anything, Donna?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to invite you guys. I've got my frankincense here and my copaiba
Mhm.
to take some oil in your hand. I've got frankincense here, copaiba, whichever one feels right to you. I'm going to ask if you put your feet flat on the ground. Rub your hands together. Breathe. We're going to take 4 deep breaths, long exhales. In the nose, out the mouth. Another nice one, you can put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And when you breathe in, meet your hands. Thank you guys for being all the gifts that you guys are, bringing beauty.
Thank you for this space.
Love you both.
Love you too. You both
Thank
have
you.
a great
And by the way,
week.
my friend that Shannon met uses, my friend uses doTERRA oils too.
Awesome. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.
See you then. Bye-bye.